Are you looking for a notebook na pasok sa budget nyo and yet premium siya and also powerful and also thin? Well guys, good news because we now have here the Realme laptop. It's the latest notebook from Realme and it's their first generation notebook from the brand and I'm quite impressed by it. Hey guys, I'm Jam of JamOnline.ph and today magre-review tayo ng notebook na to, the Realme Book. Again, this is a first generation laptop from Realme. But despite being a first generation laptop, Realme has done a great job with this one because the Realme laptop is not just premium, but it's also a really good laptop for its price. First, let's talk about the hardware and design of the Realme Book. So as you can see in here, we got here the blue color of the Realme Book. It's unique, it's really nice, and sobrang premium ng design natin dito as we got here an aluminum alloy build dito sa notebook. I actually like the design of this one. It's simple. Some people might think that it's not generic, but this one is really premium for sure, especially compared dun sa mga Windows laptop that is out in the market. Dito naman sa lid ng ating notebook, we got here a clean look. There's no gimmicks in here, just a premium aluminum alloy lid along with the Realme logo over here, which means that this one does really pose a premium design pa lang pagdating pa lang sa labas. And I like that they have a minimalistic design dito overall on the Realme Book along with this mirror na Realme logo. You can actually open the Realme Book up to this angle. So, medyo maganda yung nakuha natin angle. Unfortunately, it's not 180. It's not 360 though as we don't have a touchscreen display that we're gonna talk about later. Compared to most Windows notebooks that is out in the market, this one has a really clean look because, number one, the stickers are placed below the notebook. So, wala kayong makikita dun sa kanyang palm rest na mga maduduming stickers. But we do got here the stickers and everything that we need. We got here an Intel Iris Xe graphics, the Core i5 CPU, and also yung Windows 10. As for the feet, yes, this one is really nice. We got here the feet over here para hindi siya masyadong magalaw. Although minsan dumudula siya, lalo na pag binubuksan ko ng isang kamay. Kailangan actually dalawang kamay pag binubuksan tong Realme Book. As for the vents below, we got here a dual cooling fan sa loob. It's really cool that they have a dual cooling fan sa loob. And the performance of that one was actually beyond my expectations. We got here some cool temperatures when we're doing a lot of tasks, when we're playing a little bit of games on the Realme Book. So it's really nice to see that we got here a really good performance on the notebook of the Realme Book. As for the speakers of the Realme Book, I was actually pretty happy with the speakers of this one as we got here a dual Harman speakers, and surprisingly, they were good. It's loud, and actually, pag nakikinig ako ng Spotify ko dito, nag-enjoy ako. Minsan, hindi ko na kailangan mag-speakers even if nanonood ako ng Netflix movies dito sa Realme Book. Now, time to check out the ports of this one. On one side, we got here two USB-C ports, but one of them is actually a Thunderbolt 4 port, which means that you can plug in an eGPU on this one. Not only that, you can also plug in other Thunderbolt devices if you have a storage device that you want to transfer dito na mas mabilis. You can do that with a Thunderbolt 4 port. So this one is actually exclusive lang doon sa Intel Core i5 variant ng Realme Book. While on the other side, we got here the USB-A port along with the audio jack of this one. And I appreciate that they still included a USB-A port for this one because a lot of you are probably using a wireless mouse with a dongle, and that dongle is probably USB-A. And gusto ko na may flexibility tayo. So if you want to plug in yung mga card readers natin, you can do that with the USB-A. And then meron din tayong USB-C for mga other card readers. Unfortunately, it's not a complete I/O port, but these days naman, most laptops does have this kind of ports. I mean, USB-C and USB-A, and you can use a dongle for the USB-C. Again, the Realme Book does have a minimalistic design. Kita nyo naman kanina sa mga videos na nakita nyo. But we also got here a 14.9mm thin na body along with 1.23 kilograms na weight. Actually, this is not the thinnest laptop that we have ever reviewed. But for its price and its range compared sa mga competitors niya, this one is actually a pretty good laptop considering yung kanyang build quality and yung kanyang design. Now, let's talk about the keyboard and the touchpad of this notebook. Actually, yung keyboard ng Realme Book is pretty nice. First, we got here the chiclet style design. The spacing is just right. The sizes of the keys are just fine with me. And as you can see, the sizes ng kanyang keycaps are perfect for me. I was actually typing on this one for a few weeks now. I've been using it while I was away. I was using it, to type my reviews. Even to type the review of the Realme Book here directly sa Realme Book. And it was quite fine. The response is good. It's not that soft. It's not that hard. It's very comfortable to type on. And there are 3 modes of backlit dito. So, mas maliwanag, mas maganda. But of course, it will consume more battery. But in my usage, I really appreciate that one. Especially pag nagtatype ako sa kama ko and the lights are off. Now, onto the problems of the keyboard. Well, first, we got here the smaller function keys, which is just fine. Manageable. A lot of people are probably using a laptop na ganito rin yung size ng function keys. But for some people, medyo baka maliitan sila doon sa kanya mas maliit na keys, especially doon sa kanya escape key. But the main problem for me in here is that wala tayong FN lock dito. By default, you can only use the function key like yung kanyang volume down, volume up, the mute, yung ating brightness up and brightness down. By default, di nyo na kailangan pindutin yung FN. Directly nyo pipindutin F1, F2, F3, F4. However, there's no way to use FN lock, which means that if you want to use Alt F4, you have to press Alt FN F4. If you're playing games na kailangan ng function keys, you need to press the FN key along with the function keys. That might be a problem for some people, and as for me, I am having problems minsan kasi minsan na pinipindot ko lagi is the Alt F4. And the F4 means mag-off yung touchpad natin. So most of the time, I am turning off yung touchpad niya instead of just, yung exit lang ng application. As for the touchpad, this one is pretty excellent. We got here first a large touchpad dito sa Realme Book. The quality of this one is actually amazing. According kay Dave2D, it's plastic but it feels like glass, and it's comparable to other laptops with a glass touchpad. So, for Realme, I really applaud that they have a really good touchpad dito. And using the touchpad of this one for browsing is quite good enough for me. Sometimes nga, I don't even use my mouse anymore because the touchpad of this one is already good. However, if you're planning on playing games, of course, you have to use the mouse for this one. Just plug in dito sa kanyang USB-A. And then, of course, pwede na kayo maglaro ng mas magandang precision and accuracy with the mouse. Aside from the trackpad and the keyboard of this one, we also got here the power button that also serves as the fingerprint scanner. And yes, this one comes with a fingerprint scanner doon sa power button ng ating laptop, which means that you don't have to type your password anymore just like yung nakita nyo kanina. I just have to press my finger over here, automatically mag-unlock na yung laptop natin dito. So, it's a really nice feature na meron tayo dito sa Realme Book. One of the main features of the Realme Book is actually yung kanyang display. We got here a 2K display. It's crisp, it's colorful. It's not a touchscreen display though, so some of you might be disappointed. But as for me, yes, wala tayong touchscreen display, but I always use my laptop without using the touchscreen. I have my iPad for touchscreen na mga applications. And there are only a few games lang naman and applications that fully optimize yung touchscreen sa ating display ng Realme Book. And for me naman, it's not really a deal breaker as we still got here an excellent design and an excellent build quality dito sa Realme Book. Now, let's talk about yung aspect ratio niya dito sa Realme Book. First, we got here the 3:2 na aspect ratio. This is different compared to sa most laptops that we have in the market right now that are 16:9 or sa mga smartphones natin that are now 21:9 or 20:9. So what does that mean? This means that this one is narrower, but we got here a taller display, and when you have two windows side by side, you can have more content dito ng naka-vertical. Basically, if you're doing a lot of Microsoft Office dito, Excel, Word, or whatever that is, web browsing, mga ganyan, you would have more content when you're browsing on the Realme Book. Another thing na na-appreciate ko is that they've used a 2K display on the Realme Book. Again, this one is crisp, and the display is colorful. I'm actually using a Windows 11 wallpaper, but it's still running on Windows 10 as the official Windows 11 will launch sa October 5. The colors are really nice, and I actually like the viewing angles of this one. Makikita nyo naman, even if nakaganto tayo, makikita nyo na maganda yung ating viewing angles dito sa Realme Book. So whether if I'm watching a movie or just doing a little bit of, light na KV sa Photoshop dito sa Realme Book, that wouldn't be a problem because the display of this one is crisp, and unlike 4K displays that are having problems when running applications minsan sa Windows, wala tayong nagiging problema sa mga sizing dito kasi nga it's 2K, so everything's running pretty well, it's running smooth, and even on games. As for the bezel of the Realme Book, we got here a thin bezel, whether that's on the side, below, or at the top of the Realme Book. And surprisingly, meron pa rin tayong webcam at the top of it despite na meron tayong thin bezel dito sa Realme Book. As for the quality of the webcam, this is the quality yung video niya doon sa ating webcam. Of course, the quality isn't that great as expected sa mga Windows notebooks na meron tayo. There are only a few notebooks that has a great webcam quality, but for this one will do just fine if you're planning it on using lang naman sa Zoom, sa calls, sa school, sa office. Wala kayong magiging problema dito. And as for the microphone, nakikita nyo naman, yes, meron tayong aircon, yes, may trend sa labas, but it's clear enough para gamitin yung kanyang built-in microphone. Now to the exciting part of the Realme Book, we got here an Intel Core i5 1135G7, but of course the notebook also comes in a different variant, which is a Core i3 variant. But for the 1135G7, in our experience with the previous laptops that we have reviewed and tried before with the same processor, they are pretty good whether you're planning on using on Microsoft Office for work, for school, or even for gaming. Just like right now, we're running Witcher 3 directly dito sa ating Realme Book, and we're getting a really good frames per second on this one. So for the RAM, we got here 4266 MHz na clock speed for the 8 gigs of RAM, and for the storage, we got here a 512 gigs of NVMe SSD. If you're planning on getting yung i3 variant, you're getting a smaller na 256 gigs of storage. And again, one of the ports of this one is Thunderbolt 4, unlike the i3 version, because that is because of the Intel Core i5 1135G7 processor of this one. Aside from that, we also got you a faster and better Wi-Fi 6. So if you have a Wi-Fi 6 at your home, just like in here, you can get better bandwidth kahit na marami na connect, even if you have your PC, your PS5, or a lot of your desktops or smartphones na connect sa internet, downloading or transferring files, wala kayong magiging problema because with Wi-Fi 6, you can get more bandwidth with that one. Now, onto the performance of the Realme Book. As for the performance of the Realme Book, we got here a score of 1527 on 3D Mark, and in Cinebench R23, we got here a single core score of 1289, which is high compared doon sa mga kanyang competition sa market. And this score is also in line doon sa mga laptops with the same processor. So I really appreciate that we have that one dito na score and wala tayong naging problema dito sa Cinebench R23. As for the multi-core score, we got here a score of 4735. While in PC Mark, we got a score of 4,595, which isn't that bad, and considering na maganda naman na processor ang Intel Core i5 1135G7. And for the Crystal Disk Mark, we got here a read speeds of 3,079 and a write speeds of 1,900 MB per second on both read and write. That is actually in line dun sa nakita nating specs sa spec sheets ng Realme Book. Compared sa Core i3, mas mabagal yung SSD natin doon. Dito, mas mabilis na yung processor, mas mabilis pa yung SSD. So, having the Core i5 does pose a lot of advantages. So, if you're looking for performance, you can go for the i5. And actually, if you have the money and if you're looking into buying a Realme Book, I highly suggest that you get the Core i5 instead. You're probably curious na, kanina pa ako nagpapatakbo ng Witcher 3, kamusta yung ating frames per second natin dito? Kamusta yung gaming experience natin dito sa Realme Book i5 variant? For the Realme Book, we got here a average frames per second na 62 for Witcher 3, and in City Skylines sa may 10,000 ng population, we got here a 60 frames per second na average FPS. In GTA 5, we also got here a 71 na average frames per second, while in Valorant, we got a really high na average frames per second of 159. all of these are running at 1280 by 800 at low settings. You can notice that in City Skylines, we got here a lower score pagdating sa kanyang FPS. This is because City Skylines are heavy pagdating sa kanyang CPU. But unlike the other games that are quite heavy on the GPU side. Actually, I'm surprised with the Valorant as we got here really high FPS. You can even turn it up if you want, and you can even plug in an external GPU if you want to get better FPS and a better experience dito sa Realme Book, as this one is already powerful enough. But these benchmarks also showed us that the Realme Book's Iris Xe graphics is more than capable enough to play the modern games that we have. But of course, if you're planning on playing heavier games or those new games or new titles na medyo mabigat, well, you will have a problem on that one. So what you can do is play these games at a lower settings, at a lower resolution to enjoy these games at a higher frames per second. Now, the performance is good and it doesn't have a dedicated graphics card. This one is also a thin and light notebook, so you're already expecting that we'll have a long battery life on this one. Well, you're correct. Realme promises an 11 hours of battery life dito sa Realme Book, but with the Realme Book, we got here a 7 to 8 hours of normal usage on this one. This isn't that bad considering na meron tayong 54 watt-hour of battery, and 7 to 8 hours of usage on this one can actually extend up to 11 hours depende sa brightness nyo. That is actually my usage at 50% brightness. Minsan tinataas ako, minsan binababaan ko, but that is my normal usage, and I believe some people might even get a longer battery life on this one depende sa usage nila. And for normal workday usage, I believe 7 to 8 hours is already enough pag nasa field kayo. But if you want, you can use the 65 watts na charger na included on this one, and it's pretty fast enough naman para ma-charge ang notebook na to. And again, this is a USB-C na port para sa kanyang charger. So, if you're planning on using other third-party chargers on this one with at least 65 watts, that wouldn't be a problem dito sa Realme Book. Now, on to the verdict of the Realme Book. First, we got here a really nice design of the notebook. I mean, the design is really premium. It can even compete doon sa mga flagship notebooks in the market right now, as we got here an aluminum alloy body. Some notebooks at its price range, hindi nga kaya minsan tumapat dito sa ganitong aluminum alloy body. For the display, we got here a 2K display. It's not the best display that we have seen, but it's definitely higher than most laptops that has a full HD resolution. So I really like that they put in a 2K display on this one, so it's crisp, it's clear, the viewing angles are good, and the colors are really nice naman dito sa Realme Book. The I/O ports are not complete, but a dongle would do just fine naman dito. The keyboard is fine, the touchpad is fine, and we got here a fingerprint scanner. As for the performance, we got here a decent performance as we can do a lot of things on this one, whether gamitin nyo sa office, sa school, or whatever. This is perfect actually for online class in my opinion, as it is premium, and pagbalik ng school, pwede siyang dalhin doon kasi wala kayong magiging problema with its weight. And again, the performance of this one is really good whether you're planning on using it for school, office, or a little bit of casual gaming dito sa Realme Book. As for the pricing, the Realme Book is priced at $37,990 for the Core i3 variant and $47,990 for the Core i5 variant. In my opinion, there's a lot of laptops that are on the same price range at a little bit higher doon, pero with this one, you'll get a good performance, you'll get a good display, and happy naman ako with the ecosystem ng ating Realme Book. If you have a Realme GT Master Edition, you can also use PC Connect to mirror yung display ng smartphone dito sa Realme Book. And everything is really fine dito. Overall, I like what we're seeing in here dito sa Realme Book, whether that's performance, design, yung kanyang keyboard, touchpad, everything. And for its specs, I highly suggest that you get the Core i5 model instead if you can. But the Core i3 variant isn't that bad. I mean, for its price, medyo premium naman yung body na makukuha nyo. And actually, ang ganda ng design niya. So you can get it at Lazada or Shopee kung saan nyo man gusto, but you can also get it at Silicon Valley in where you can get some freebies. Overall, if you want a notebook that you can use for office, gusto nyo ng thin and light notebook, gusto nyo ng premium notebook that wouldn't break the bank masyado, well, the Realme Book is here for you. It's an excellent laptop, good performance, okay yung kanyang display, and I actually like everything about it. So I guess that's it dito sa ating review ng ating Realme Book. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and be sure to click that subscribe button along with that bell button to get notified of our latest videos here sa ating YouTube channel. So once again, I'm JumOnline.ph. Thank you for watching and see you guys again sa susunod na video.